Welcome to Wanderlust Max and into the depths of Little Crater Lake, located within the Mt.Hood National Forest. Despite the relatively inclement weather in store for me this weekend, I headed out toward Little Crater Lake Campground for my first excursion into the mountains of the year. Since I was to spend the weekend alone deep in the mountain wilderness, I brought some bear spray and had to test it out at the campsite.
Nice.
The trails from the campground started out relatively clear and easily passable, but as I continued it became apparent that navigating them would involve some fancy footwork in order to avoid wading in the puddles. Little Crater Lake is a cold spring, as opposed to a hot spring, with a max depth of about 45 feet. The water is a constant 34 degrees Fahrenheit. The story of its formation involves water from an underground spring washing away soft siltstone along a fault line in the Earth's crust. The lake was named after its big brother, Crater Lake, in southern Oregon, because the water is crystal clear, which reflects the deep blue of the sky on a clear day, which this was not. However tempting it may be to dive into Little Crater Lake, don't do it. The Forest Service threw a laminated piece of paper over there by that tree that says no swimming. Plus, I'm pretty sure there is some sort of lake monster that lives down there. Not to mention, you would also quickly freeze to death because the water is so cold. The connecting path to the Pacific Crest Trail and Timothy Lake became even more flooded as I made my way through the meadow, but I was determined to push through because it was the only way to make it to Timothy Lake from the campground without driving a long distance.
Salamander.
I managed to make it through to the Pacific Crest Trail without getting my socks wet. From there, I arrived at the north arm of Timothy Lake. Timothy Lake is home to some native plant species that have really interesting names, such as slender pondweed, yellowish-white bladderwort, needle spikerush, water clubrush, and creeping buttercup. Timothy Lake's 11.5-mile shoreline is littered with campsites, some designated, some not. To determine if a campsite is designated, look for a post sticking out of the ground that reads, "Designated Campsite." To my surprise, I came across a large group of campers along the northern shoreline. I figured they must have arrived by boat or hiked in several miles. On my way back in the twilight, I noticed a couple teenagers giggling off the trail in the bushes. When they finally noticed me, they seemed rather shocked and frightened, which I figured was probably because the last thing they expected to see in this remote location was a strange man making his way past their group camp in the dark. Timothy Lake is an artificial lake that was formed when Portland General Electric dammed the Oak Grove Fork of the Clackamas River for the generation of hydroelectric power. got wet on my last run through the gauntlet in the dark. Took out the insoles to dry them too. Juice Performer to wash it down. It's hard to get out of bed. After hastily packing up camp in the rain, I made my way a few miles north to Highway 26 and to the Frog Lake Snow Park in order to hike another section of the Pacific Crest Trail to its junction with the Twin Lakes trails in the Mt.Hood wilderness. Gyromitra esculenta, which I only identified by Googling raisin brain fungi. It can be fatal if eaten raw. I didn't notice much wildlife along the trail, but I was being followed and tracked by a particular species of bird, which kept perching near me and sizing me up throughout the day. They are Canada jays, also known as camp robbers or whiskey jacks. They tend to be fearless of humans, particularly when human food is involved. The first twin lake on the trail is Lower Twin Lake. I took the time to navigate all the way around the lake to take in the vibe and to see what I could find. I came across what I believe to be elk poop and an abundance of different types of fungi. This appears to be golden cone jelly. The rim of Lower Twin Lake was still thawing, so I thought I'd be fancy and try to capture some underwater footage of the compact snow along the lake's edge. Of course, standing on the edge of thawing ice along a lake is a poor decision if you want to remain dry. So I took a little plunge into the icy lake. You can see where the ice gave way and sent me into the drink in this shot. Upper Twin Lake has features very similar to the Lower Twin, but being higher in elevation, it still had much more snow and ice around it. Felt nice to dip back into winter for an afternoon. The snow and the temperatures and all. Wasn't expecting that. Well, here I am back by Highway 26. As you can hear, could hear it ever since I came around the corner up at the summit there. Man, I gotta say, I feel comfortable. It's been raining all day. Actually very refreshing. Feels good. Didn't see a soul the entire time. That's the way I like it. Someone's walking stick. Oh, I'd like to stay up here all night, but I have to work tomorrow. Maybe I'll have a picnic. Oh, this is one of my favorite hikes of all time. So glad to have done it. I'll be back.